Hello.
Hello.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm Daniel.
And this is the Dan&Zoe Podcast.
How's everyone doing?
Are we like Mickey Mouse where he asks this question and
Howdy,
he stares,
folks.
and he stares at the camera and he waits for the kids to reply? How are you guys doing?
That's Dora.
That's Mickey Mouse as well.
Well, can
It's
you guys find it? Great. Thanks,
Good
guys.
job.
Good job. Oh, okay. So with every episode of the podcast, we are going to start off with a few words from Zoe specifically.
Oh yeah, fuck, I
Yeah,
forgot.
you forgot.
Oh my god, I'm not prepared.
Oh my
but
god,
okay.
the news, the world, what's going on?
There's a protest today in London, Remain protest. A lot of people. I saw this grandma carrying a huge sign saying "Tories out, migrants in," and I relate.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much Brexit. A lot of Brexit talk. I don't know. I think they might actually do another referendum. I think it's looking up.
Yeah, I think they will cave and do it.
It's
We'll see.
terrible. The situation is
it's disgusting.
It's the worst that it's ever been since this whole thing started. And I've been following it closely since Theresa May's press thing. It wasn't
Was
really
it the one where she came out sweating and crying and
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she wasn't crying, but she looked like she was about to cry.
yeah.
And the next day where they were just asking her these terrible questions and they were so upfront and so rude and she was just panicking. And every time they asked her, do you think that people didn't really know what Brexit was? They didn't really know what the deal was. Every time she got asked any question of that type, she would go up to the microphone and be like, we asked the country if they want to leave and they said they want to leave, so now we're leaving. Every time she said that, but then they were like, okay, but they didn't really know what leave means. They really didn't.
Yeah.
So whatever.
What were the consequences? No one really knew.
No one really knew, yeah. And some people didn't know what the EU was, let alone Brexit. So.
What's the statistic on that?
I think the most searched Google thing the next day after they chose to leave was EU.
What
European
is
Union.
EU? What's Brexit?
What's the European Union? Something like that was. I don't quote me, but it was something like either what's Brexit or what's EU.
It was all just a bunch of NHS stuff on buses.
Oh yeah.
About Brexit, and then all of a sudden we left, and then now it's worse. That's it.
We
That's
haven't
the
left yet.
Well, the NHS is still really bad.
The NHS was bad before.
It was, but you can't deny that it's worse.
Yeah.
And it will get worse if we actually leave.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about Suspiria last time?
I think we did.
Okay, we're not going to mention Suspiria then. Any other pop culture thing that you got?
Pop culture thing, guys. No.
Not really.
I'm not really into pop culture stuff right now.
What has caught your attention on the news lately, or if anything? Because for me, it was mainly writing my essay last
Oh
days.
my god.
So.
Yeah, so I just filmed a short drama for a uni project, and it was a disaster. I mean, the filming went alright. We got some good shots, but for the most part, I'm alright. I directed it, and I'm a camera guy. I don't want to say I can direct. I just know I'm a camera guy. But it was alright. It was okay.
I saw the first minute.
The first, not even minute.
Yeah, a few seconds.
Yeah.
And I liked how it looked for the first couple seconds, or not couple, but few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, but Dan says that it gets worse further in.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to see that.
It does get worse. The one that I dislike the most, the scene, is a car scene where they're talking. The first shot that you saw looked alright, but then it cuts to this other shot that's just orange and there's bricks in the back.
Oh.
And the camera angle's weird.
Okay. Should I ask?
What?
Who was camera?
A guy called Mossy.
Oh, I don't know.
Who was in our group. You don't know him. But Mossy, if you're listening to this, bro, like 50% of the shots were out of focus. I'm just putting that out there.
Nice.
But yeah, it was okay. The shoot itself, a lot of drama.
Oh yeah.
A lot of heartbreak, crying, hatred. But in the end, we got through it, and everyone still hates each other.
Nice.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And now I move on.
That's what you missed on? Glee.
On Daniel.
On Daniel.
Yeah. And I don't really have anything else to talk about in the current moment. Christmas is coming up. I'm excited for that.
Really?
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm most excited just to be with my family. And yeah.
Yeah.
Wait to see what the new year brings to us.
Daniel's coming back to London for Christmas. I'm staying here in Bournemouth, and my parents are coming around. My grandma's coming. My best friend's coming with her boyfriend. It's gonna be a disaster.
A disaster.
It's honestly gonna be.
You should just set up cameras around your living room.
Honestly.
And just watch it. Yeah, honestly.
I really should.
This is a real thing.
I think I should, but that's the thing though. I can't book out equipment from uni around Christmas, or over Christmas.
Rent out equipment. Pay like 20 quid a day.
No.
No.
For my family to film me fighting with my grandma all day. No.
That could be gold.
Really?
Yeah.
It's in Bulgarian.
So? I'm sure the Bulgarian market is huge for soap operas and reality shows for like that.
Oh yeah.
They could eat their little seeds while watching it.
Okay.
And that's it.
Enough stereotypical Bulgarian jokes.
All right.
What the fuck is this on my arm? I have like some kind of like motor grease on my arm.
It was when you were in the toilet.
What from?
I don't know. You're saying until you touch like motor grease.
I really don't know. I think it's from my watch. Anyway, guys.
Anyways,
let's get into the topic. We've rambled for 6 minutes. Topic is video games.
Video games, yes. And they're...
Okay, I don't want to specify the subject because it's going to make it harder to talk about.
Sure. Let's just have a conversation about video games real quick.
How this came about was the other day Daniel played me this guy on YouTube playing Call of Duty. And I don't know anything about Call of Duty, by the way. I've never played Call of Duty. I have never played like CS or any shooting game type thing. I've played GTA once and for 8 hours, and that was it. So I'm not really into it at all. I'm not good. I don't know how to hold a controller, all that. But it was interesting to watch for some reason for me, just because, I don't know. It was walking around, shooting people, this guy just screaming in the background. It's entertainment at its purest form.
Yeah.
But then I was watching, and I was like, okay, bro. Like, most of these people who actually play that video game and are good at it are going to play it for more than 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
For sure. And to look through, I need to have a word for this. To look through a shooter's perspective.
Yeah.
Is for more than 10 hours, surely has to have some impact on your brain negatively.
Yeah, and I try to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
And because we have two completely different perspectives on this.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who grew up and between the ages of 11 to 16. I would spend 10 to 15 hours a day on video games, just inside my room, trap myself. I would talk to these people.
Trap myself.
Yeah, just in my room to myself. Talk to these people from all around who I've never met, and be in this community, this Call of Duty shooter community. And I don't regret it. It was something that I learned a lot from, especially since where I was in Lebanon, there wasn't much going on around me, and just talking to all these people helped me. But anyways, I don't know. I've had good experience with video games myself personally, and you on the other hand have had basically no experience, just from just an outside perspective looking at it. That's where you come from.
Yeah. And I also mentioned when we were talking about that, I also said that I'm more keen to protect or to be on the side of people who play things like League of Legends or World of Warcraft, because it's more imagination based, I guess, because when your character has elf ears, it's not as easy to identify with them. You know what I mean? Because if you're playing a character who's a person shooting with a gun, you're like, I'm a person. The only difference between me and this guy is the gun. So I can easily be that person, or I can easily step in the shoes of that person. Whereas if my character is a fucking
Fox.
Ninja Turtle or a fox, I would be like, obviously this fox is shooting, but I'm a human, so I can't shoot this gun, right? It's a game. It's obvious that it's a game. And I'm not saying that these kids look at this game and think, oh my God, I'm going to go and buy a gun or a knife and go and stab some people. But still saying that subconsciously it affects you. What was your first encounter with a video game in your life? Do you remember that?
My earliest memory of a video game was playing Tomb Raider on the PS1 in London when I was before 6 years old, because I was still here. And I was playing Tomb Raider up in the attic where we had our games section, and that's my earliest encounter. And I was just playing, and that's
Why
it.
did you have a PlayStation?
I don't know. I think it was because of my sisters, yeah.
Did your sisters play games?
I don't think they did as much as I did. I think they had it, just they wanted to try it out, and then I just ended up playing.
That's interesting, because I've never owned a PlayStation. Everything I've played was on a computer or on somebody else's PlayStation. And my first encounter with a video game was through my dad, actually, because my dad is a weird one. He's into a lot of things, and he's gone through a lot of phases, as a 40-year-old man does.
Yeah.
And you think that a 40-year-old guy has his revelation or midlife crisis through some kind of a barbecue dad wearing hat, make America great again type thing. But for him, it was video games, fencing, karate, beekeeping, anything you can think of, he's done it. And one of the things he wanted to do was video gaming and gaming in general. And I remember he downloaded this game called Rapples 2.
What the?
I know. Nobody's heard of it.
No.
And this game Rapples was basically like World of Warcraft. It was like an RPG type game. You were an elf or a healer or all these type things. I don't know. Yeah. And you went around doing quests in these magical worlds. And I remember being so in love with this game. I watched him play, and he also played with other 40-year-old men as well. He didn't play with just random kids, because he's not like that. He would be like, oh my God, that's weird. Like, he wants to feel normal playing it. So he found other 40-year-olds playing it. But I wanted to play it so much, and he never let me. And I was probably 12 when I first encountered a video game, and he was like, no, you're not playing that shit. They're killing themselves in there. And I'm like, bro, I can see that they're killing fictional animals. Like, these animals are not even, it's not like they're killing even real life animals, bears or something. They are killing like these fictional things. Yeah. Why are you not letting me do this? And he's like, no, you're not watching people killing stuff when you're 12.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't know if that was the right thing to do, because I ended up being mad at him and all that, when you don't let a kid do something. And he let me play maybe when I was 14, but then I didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah. You kind of just weren't into it at all.
No, of course not. Well, it was 2 years ago, later.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, also it has a lot to do with age restriction and all that, because I think he does have a point, saying you're too young and whatnot, because games like Call of Duty, they're for 18 and over, and people who are like 12, 10, get them for Christmas or just order them and get them. And then that's when people get worried that it's going to start affecting people, because they're at such a young age. They take it all in.
Impressionable.
Exactly. They're impressionable. That's exactly the word. And I guess that's what most people are scared of. They're not scared of people 18 and over playing the games, because at least they have they've been raised and they've been through it, and that's it.
I think that it can affect a 35-year-old almost as much as it can affect a 10-year-old. Because, as I said, especially with things that you can so easily relate to, like getting in a car and running somebody over, or going into a strip club and raping a stripper. Or, I'm not saying that I can relate to raping a stripper, okay? I keep saying these weird things on a podcast. I'm not a psychopath, I promise, but you know what I mean? Like more human-based things that people actually can physically go and do. If you stay and stare into a screen in a dark room where all you can see is that screen, and don't talk to other people or talk to other people who are doing the same thing for 10 hours a day or more, it's bound to affect you even if you're 40 with a child.
Well, I said the same thing before, is that I'm basically a case study for this, for lack of a better term, because I've gone through exactly that, you know, being in this dark room. And that's how I kind of got into glasses, because of when I started playing games a year after, because of how much I was really just daily for hours, just intent, like the same game, by the way, Call of Duty, for 4 years straight. And it's not like I was playing any other games. It was just Call of Duty. So I was just, for 4 years, watching people,
Shoot other people.
Yeah, shoot other people. And I'm not going to claim that there's nothing wrong with me, but I can say confidently that there's nothing wrong with me.
You're very calm.
Yeah.
You're a relatively calm person, and I think knowing you, I can say that you're calmer than most people.
I was very aggressive though when I'm playing, but everyone gets aggressive when they play.
I think the right word is competitive.
Sure, competitive.
But I think when it's games about shooting and about killing and about things like that, I think this is when the word competitive and the feeling of competitiveness in your brain, because you're holding a gun, gets converted into aggression. And you get like, I sound like a Christian mom. I don't want to, it's my opinion, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, competitiveness in chess, you can be competitive in chess. Somebody can, you know, beat you in chess and you can be like, motherfucker, I hate you. Like, oh my God, fuck you. Fuck your whole family. And all that. But you're not holding a gun. So you're not like, I actually wanted to shoot you. Does this make any sense? I don't know.
I guess so. In theory, it does. But in reality, with statistics and all, there is almost no correlation with these games and actual real life shootings. And that's because this is an international game. It's worldwide. It's not just in the Western world. All over Europe, Asia, everywhere. It's a big game. Especially Japan. Japan is one of the biggest gaming places. And they come up with games like Mortal Kombat, which are just you straight up killing people and whatnot. And they play Call of Duty as well. But in the end,
they also make anime.
And they also make anime, exactly. And statistically, every year, there's less than 10 shootings there. And it starts to become more of a problem with where.
Do you remember where you read that?
You can look it up on Google, just the statistic of it all. But I actually did see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I want to cite it as well, so pull it up. And it does become clear that it's more of where exactly, because in America, it's where it has there's the highest killings, especially with guns. And immediately you can say it's because of the gun access that they have, more so than what games they're playing. Or maybe a combination of both.
So the first thing that pops up on Google is the New York Times, which is it has some integrity. It's called, "Do Video Games Lead to Mass Shootings? Researchers Say No." I'm going to look for an obvious statistic. The argument became a common refrain after Columbine. I don't know what that is. I don't want to sound ignorant, so I'm not going to comment. Investigation. Bill Clinton, then the president, ordered an investigation into advertising practices used to sell violent entertainment. More recently, the position that video games may play a role in violent behavior is more often cited by conservatives, of course. In 2007, 1 month after an armed student killed 32 people in Virginia Tech, Mitt Romney said that pornography and violence in music, movies, TV, and video games were to blame. In 2012, after a gunman, Adam Lanza, killed 26 people, mostly young children, at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, something, who leads the National Rifle Association, put the blame on the entertainment media. So it's just these people basically blaming the entertainment media rather than actually pulling up real statistics.
Exactly.
The evidence does not support the claim, scholars say. Researchers find that people serving time for violent crimes typically consume less media before committing their crimes than the average person in the general population, he wrote. When it comes to video games, he said the overwhelming majority of kids who play do not commit antisocial acts. Who's that? Who is this? Henry Jenkins.
Henry Jenkins.
In an essay for PBS, professor at University of Southern California said that juvenile crime in the United States was at a 30-year low, even though large numbers of young people play video games.
Yeah, that's another thing. And I mean, this whole debate, fight, conversation about video games, especially in the media, has been going on for a long time, even in the early 90s. Because
it's close to your mind to see a kid playing a video game about shooting and think to yourself, is this kid not going to want to shoot me one day?
Of course, it's a scary thought. And I'm not saying that I like the thought of these video games at all. If anything, I would hope that there's better restriction on these video games. Even though I went through it and I played video games at a young age, I still wouldn't really want my kids to play these at a very young age.
Would you not? At all?
I don't, at least not before 16. Not before 18.
Not before 18?
Yeah.
Wait.
No, not before 16.
No signal? Wait.
Oh, what happened?
I tried to turn down my brightness.
And then the whole computer just went down.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's still recording.
I think so too, but we have to... Ow!
I'm shaken. What's going on?
Oh,
it's up. Okay, see? Told you. It's still recording.
It's still recording?
It's still recording?
God bless, yes,
God
okay.
bless.
I'm so sorry. I have a huge problem with brightness on computer screens.
Do you like it really bright or really low?
Really low, and I tried to put it down really low, but I turned it off. But
I like my computer screen to be radiating.
I know.
Yeah.
Every time you show me your phone, I go blind. That's insane.
Yeah, it's probably because I'm blind and I don't wear glasses.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the whole, it's been an argument since the early 90s, and it's been in news with I think 1993. Don't quote me. Yeah. But it's been in the news for a long time. It's one of the most constant things, and it's still not really resolved. The President Trump, on March, he came out with statements about it as well, because it was followed by some shooting that happened. So obviously they went to video games for that. And basically, to summarize what Donald Trump said, video games are very, very bad. I want them gone. And that was it.
But the thing is, though, most shooters, actual mass shooters and psychopaths and sociopaths, they are grown people.
Yeah.
And they're less likely to play video games. Like grown people, it's usually kids our age, 20-year-olds or less under, playing video games. And I can see that many mass shooters were not really affected by video games. And I don't necessarily mean that you're going to look at this game for 10 hours a day and then you're going to go out one day and think, you know what? I want to do that in real life. Because if anything, I think that if you had this in you, you're going to be born with the need to, with sociopathy or psychopathy inside of you in order to get to the point where you want to shoot somebody, right? Yeah. And you don't really need a video game to tell you to do that or to make you more prone. You're going to be prone enough. It's not going to unlock some kind of schizophrenia inside of you or anything. It's not that big of a thing. But what I think it could affect is I think it's going to make them numb to violence. Not necessarily make them commit violence and be violent and kill people or do whatever, but more if they see somebody getting shot on the street, maybe their reaction will be less excessive and less human than than people who don't play video games, because they're getting more and more realistic, and it's getting freaky. Like, if I'm looking at people dying 10 hours a day, why am I looking at people dying for 10 hours a day?
Well, I mean, I think GTA would make more sense
To blame.
to compare to real life. Because I'm not gonna say Call of Duty isn't too close to real life, because it is in terms of reactions and graphics and all that, whatever. But I would say GTA is definitely the stronger element to this rather than Call of Duty, because it is closer to real life than Call of Duty, and it is in a way more human.
Yeah.
Even though it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah, for sure, I agree. And I've seen people be affected by it.
Yeah. I've seen some people get affected by GTA. I've seen people try to imitate what's happening in GTA, and I think it's because they give them character in that game, whereas Call of Duty doesn't.
That's interesting.
There's no character in Call of Duty. You don't relate to the person playing.
That's interesting.
But in GTA, you play through someone's life and you go through their story. It's almost romanticizing what they do in a way. And I think that is a stronger argument than going with, okay, looking through the view of someone holding a gun with zero emotion, zero anything, but more so just as a person, you're relating your emotions to this character in this game who is doing violent things to a lot of people.
Yeah. I get that. I'm still gonna stay on my argument that looking at people being shot and having to shoot people for 10 hours is going to have an immediate or inevitable impact on your thinking and reactions. But what you said about GTA, about the relating to characters, that's very interesting, because we all do that. Like when you watch, I used to read Witch when I was a kid. I don't know if you've heard what Witch is. It's like a magazine. It's a thing in Europe. I don't know if it's a thing in the UK. It's about witches, but whatever. And there's 5 girls, 5 witches. You've got we've got Winx. You know Winx?
No.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, whatever. Well, okay, we got Power Rangers. Okay.
Power Rangers.
Yeah, and you're gonna watch Power Rangers as a kid, and everybody is gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm the Blue Ranger."
Exactly.
Or I'm the Yellow Ranger.
You can make anything relatable. Teletubbies?
Yeah, I'm the pink Teletubby.
I'm the yellow one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles, I'm the red one.
And it's inevitable to look at these characters and want to be like one of them, especially when you're a kid and you don't really know who you are. Because I can say confidently for myself that I am a good blend of my favorite characters throughout the years, and I've done it on purpose 100%, and I still feel like I'm doing it. And it's just inevitable, and I 100% know for sure that other people have done it too. But relating to the Teletubbies is one thing. Relating to this guy killing people and running over people with his car in GTA is a completely different thing.
Well, fucking prostitutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remember playing GTA in 2000. I'm going to say I was 14 or 15. In one of my friends' houses before, and I was very much into stealing buses and running cars over with the bus. And I don't know why I liked doing that. It just felt like I was driving something big and like running cars. I wasn't really into running people over.
Yeah.
I was into like smashing cars. And to think that your brain has a favorite activity from a range of activities that are illegal, immoral, unethical, and flat out sinful is disturbing.
I have a different experience. My favorite part was getting on some weird motorbike and just doing stunts.
Oh my
That's
God.
Going, riding on the ramps and doing stunts, and that was it.
It's horrible because this says so much about us as people.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it does. I just liked the stunts. That was it.
And I genuinely loved stealing buses and running cars over. Like, if there was I would go and find...
What illegal GTA activity are you? Find out. with this
Honestly,
quiz.
like a traffic jam where it's like 3 lanes full of cars, and I would just like all over them. Like
You just find it satisfying, don't you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
yours is
the-
more satisfactory. Mine is more seeing if I can land this cool trick. And that was it.
terrible. Oh, and also I really liked... that's gonna sound just bad. I'm
What?
just gonna make myself sound bad again.
Just, well, this is past tense.
I really like drowning my character.
I too like
Oh no. Oh no.
That's bad, but whatever.
Yeah, I did that.
You did that. Can't help being a Leo.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you can move the mic while laughing.
Oh, fuck off. I don't even want to talk about that.
Okay, moving on.
Anyway, but yeah,
Anyway.
having a range of these bad activities and having a favorite one, and also having a range of these dysfunctional characters and having a favorite one out of them, or even wanting to look like them, to resemble them in real life.
You can get your hair cut. You can fix his outfits. It's like Sims, but if Sims was graphic.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I don't... And see, that's what I mean with, especially, let's say gun control. Let's say being able to go to Asda and buy a gun, which we are not here. But over there in our
Over there,
in
that
our
one.
good friend America,
Merca.
you can probably go to. I don't know how you buy guns in America.
Don't
guys.
say go to Walmart.
I was
buy
gonna
'em.
say go to Walmart, but
No, don't.
fine. Okay, maybe
It's
not.
overused.
Is it?
Yeah. I was
Okay.
like, I go to Walmart and buy an AK.
Well, can you not?
No, I don't
Really?
think you can. No.
I don't know.
Maybe a handgun.
I mean,
Yeah, I know. But no, I don't think you can go to just Walmart and buy a
but
gun.
yeah, and that's the thing.
Now we just sound ignorant.
Whatever. I think people, when they look at these things and when they play these games, they're more likely to later in life make these choices to defend antisocial and violent behavior. And I am a person who strongly defends antisocial behavior. I will look at a criminal who's convicted of terrible crimes, and I will still think, okay, this is still a person, and this person still deserves to be heard, and this person still deserves to have mercy and to say why they did these crimes, and they deserve to be inspected in order to find what made them evil or what made them antisocial. But still, having that said, I do believe that they're making them more likely to choose, I want to have a gun. I want to have a gun in my room in order to defend myself.
Yeah. We have a different version of it over here. But I'm not going to get into it because it's going to sidetrack. And that version here is just knives. And
Can you have a knife in England?
You can't, but it's in London. I'm talking about London now specifically. It's very, very, very common. I've heard stories.
People just carry knives.
People just carry knives because they're scared and they want to defend themselves.
I would carry a knife. I
wouldn't.
Really?
I wouldn't.
Why?
No. Because it's kind of feeding into it.
Okay. My perspective is I come from uni and I'm going to have to make you come into my house in order to walk me back because I'm scared because I have to go under 2 bridges. My house is in the other side of the fucking city, and I'm going to have to make you walk me home because I'm scared. So I want to carry a knife. But then again, I really don't know if I did carry a knife that would make me braver because I don't know if I can stab a person.
Well, I've seen pictures of the type of knives they use, and they're not really knives. They're more like fucking those weird alien looking knives.
Shut up.
That are I'm not even kidding. Look, if you look up images of crime scenes and whatnot in London, it's actually insane the type of knives they carry. They don't carry no.
Where do they carry them?
They I don't know. I don't know how they store them and carry them around, but it's a thing.
It's like Samurai Jack type thing.
On a smaller scale.
Fuck.
It's not even how big that's scary. It's how alien the knives look. It looks like a claw, you know, like something you'd
No.
see in some animation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. And I would say trying to carry around some kitchen knife
Yeah,
with
I
you
was
for protection is gonna be
pointless.
thinking that it's gonna help. It's kind of foolish,
Yeah.
but it is a problem, and it's a big topic in London right now. And that's just me saying what we have, our own version of what America has right now
With
here.
guns, yeah.
And you can't really say that they watched Mortal Kombat or played
Can
Mortal
you not?
Kombat.
Can you not? Why not?
I mean, sure, you can say it, but it's such a big statement to be like, okay, they're using knives. Definitely, let's look at video games, see what the issue is.
I'm gonna talk from my own perspective, and I'm gonna say that I do feel more numb towards death and towards violence because of the movies and because of the games and because of all these things. I'm not gonna say music because I don't really listen to music that talks about killing a lot.
Mm-hmm. I think movies might be a bigger problem
Why?
than games. First off, because we had the talk about how GTA is so, it makes people want to relate to the character and look through the character's eyes, and it's so realistic. But movies, literally real people. It's not real actions, but
Real people.
it's real people. It looks real, and it's a movie, so it's gonna try and make you want to relate to the character and feel something towards the character, whether that's where the killer is actually the main villain in the movie. They still try to give it character in the end.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and I think even though of course they don't mean it like that. Of course not. But you never know. And
Oh.
the thing is, you never know with video games either.
I think they mean it 100% like that. I think
No.
it's a conspiracy theory.
No, I don't think so. The conspiracy theory is another thing. I just don't want to claim.
Yeah, let's
That
not
they
get.
are.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna promote my conspiracy theories right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you're more likely, because I've been through this. As a kid, you're more likely to walk into a living room, see your parents watching something, see your sisters or brothers watching something that's graphic for their age, but they're not at that moment going to say, because they're young, they're pretty young as well. They're not going to say, oh, don't watch this, go away. Some parents do, and siblings do. Mine didn't really. I sat on the couch with them. I watched the stuff. I can say that I've been scarred in a few things because of how young I was and how graphic.
How young
these
were
things.
you?
So it was right after I moved from London, so anywhere between 6 and 10.
So okay,
That was when I was most
let's say
impacted.
you were 7.
Sure.
But then you played Call of Duty around
12.
12. Do you think that if you had seen these movies at the age of 12, they wouldn't have impacted you that much?
They probably would have. I
same?
can't say it. I don't want to say the same because it's the start of my teenage years, and I react to things differently than I did when I was 6 to 10 years old. But it is more likely for this thing to happen than video games. That's what I want to say, because there's more access to movies as well than video games.
I disagree
You disagree?
with the entire thing.
How so?
Okay, so with movies, my main problem is, first of all, I've always been a person to say you can't blame media for people being dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your kid is, okay, I'm not gonna say your kid. If you're dumb and you think that you have to become Superman after you watch Superman, it's not a creator's fault.
Mhm.
Okay, but having that said, movies, I think there's problems with them being that realistic. Yes, what you said was right about being too realistic, and
I'm not saying that there's a problem with it. I'm saying
it's more likely for people to get scarred or to get impacted by how realistic they are compared to video games. Yeah, I'm saying I think it is a problem because many times, because they do look for impact. Let's say like action movies, death scenes, they do look for impact in the person. You have to look at this character die and feel, and it's an important editorial decision. But then again, many times it's just gory for the sake of being gory, and it's unnecessary. It could have been executed differently. And I still also for movies think that it could affect adults as much as young people too. I don't think it's going to affect a 10-year-old more than it's going to affect a 25-year-old, because I think that we all should have a reaction to death, and we all should have a reaction to blood and to gore and to people being shot in the head. And I think it actually should be more logical to affect a 25-year-old rather than a 10-year-old, because the 10-year-old doesn't really know what a shot in the head is. Like, they see this person being shot in the head and falling over, and they're like, okay, red things coming out.
Oh, definitely, I agree with that. But well, they both do react, but they both react differently. The grown-up reacts based on emotions that they've already been through and what they've learned. So their reaction is more, this guy in the movie where this girl died. I'm sad about it. But a kid doesn't know what reaction. They just take it in, and that's it.
But what is that? They take it in, and they're like, yeah. But the problem is when they get used to taking it, because it's not gonna be a grossed out reaction or any type of reaction. It's like seeing something completely new, like seeing. It's not even gonna be a surprise for them. It's just gonna be like, oh, okay, this person fell over and now they're like static.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how what I've seen as a kid in movies kind of progress with me.
Yeah.
And I'll give an example. When during those years that I told you about, between 6 and 10, I walked in the living room and saw my sisters and my uncle watching Texas Chainsaw, some movie with a chainsaw. I don't remember. Yeah,
I know what you mean. The Texas Massacre.
Well, something like that. And I don't even know if that's what the movie was. I just remember that scene had a chainsaw in it. And I walked in, and literally when I walked in, I looked at the screen, and I saw someone's head, while their eyes are open, looking at the person doing this to them, is getting his neck cut off with a chainsaw. Mm-hmm. Blood everywhere, his eyes open, staring at the camera, basically. And I just stood there, and I just stared at it.
And how did you feel?
I didn't know what to react. That's the thing. At the moment, I just stared in it, and then my uncle kind of snapped me back. He was like, I don't remember what he said, but he said something. And then after that, I kind of just left. But I just saw that, and it's still engraved in my head. I can picture it exactly how it was, and I'm kind of more sensitive around my neck area, especially.
Are you sure it's okay? Yeah.
Well, I
you don't know, but
well, no, but I am, and I can't 100% guarantee that there's a big connection with it, but there is something like that going on.
Yeah.
And another thing is knives.
Wait, before you start this story, I need to arrive at my point. Previous point.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna forget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said that movies affect people more than video games, and I disagreed. But in order to justify why I disagree, I think movies are not as easy to relate to, actually. Just because they have a narrative and they have a story, and the story arrives at a certain point, and you have a lesson learned, you have peak and a fall and all these things, and you have obvious characters. You have the obvious, mostly in action movies, which are the goriest, I would argue, out of all of the genres, and the most likely to show you death scenes or anything, when we ignore horror and all that, but I think that action and adventure, or mainly action, are the ones that show the goriest scenes. But the thing is, in action movies, you always have the obvious bad guy, good guy. And you always have okay, good always wins. Or at least it comes close to winning. And then it's like an open end. If it's not some kind of a festival, super smart, cool indie movie where there's no bad or good and all that, whatever.
It's very straightforward.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. You've got a beginning, two guys, one of them good, one of them bad. A few people die, but then good wins. Cool. And a person watches that, no matter how old they are, they're like, yeah, obviously the good is the good and bad is the bad. While in video games, I actually remember the other day when we were watching the gameplay. Is it called a gameplay?
Yeah, gameplay.
And I asked you, is he from the good guys or the bad guys? You said, that doesn't matter. Which I understand, because I do not believe in the concepts of good and bad. But as a kid, if you had said that to me, I wouldn't have understood. I would have been like, oh, so they're either all good or all bad. And because I'm a kid, I would more tend to want to believe that they are all good. And then I'm like, okay, good. Okay, they're all good then. So why am I killing good people? And also, the first person perspective is an extremely big point in my argument, because in movies, these are people separate from you before everything. Whereas in a video game, you are the killer. You are the shooter. And you don't know if you're the good or the bad guy. Even in GTA, you're obviously the bad guy. Like, any kid can see that. Any kid knows that when the police is chasing you, you're probably the bad guy. But it starts to, like, kind of fuck with you in a level where you're like, oh, I'm the bad guy, but it's me. So am I really the bad guy? I'm doing my own thing. Like, I'm doing these missions that I'm supposed to do for the greater good. So am I really doing the wrong thing by running away from the police? I don't think it's wrong, because in the grand scheme of things, I want to win this game. So does it make you think that with a bigger end goal, you are more likely to demolish all rules on your way in order to get to that big end goal? And do these rules change size and impact depending on your end goal? This is a more of a consequentialist type thing, because you have a goal, you need to win this game, and because you need to win this game, no matter the fact that the things that you do are bad, you're gonna end up winning. So I don't know. I think this is where it's kind of just not. You shouldn't be doing this, right? It kind of blends good and bad, and blends right and wrong, it blends rules and lack of rules, it blends all of these things together. Whereas movies have it completely separate, beginning and different people, boom, boom, killed person, dead, bye.
Okay, so a previous argument you made was about how things like World of Warcraft and whatnot are kind of excluded in this conversation, mostly because of how it's not as realistic as games like Call of Duty and GTA are. But I think that's kind of hypocritical, because the next big realistic thing from GTA and Call of Duty are movies.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So you're kind of straying away from movies, even though they're the more realistic and actual type thing, and going back to what's more unrealistic, which, even though it's point of view type game, there's point of view type movie as well, movies. And
are there?
Yeah, there are.
Oh, I've seen one actually.
Yeah.
But they're not that famous.
They are actually very famous.
Really?
Yeah. One of the first ones to do was an action movie, and it was very big. Everyone wants to see it.
Did it come before or after the first person view game?
Well, the first person view game has been out since the 90s.
And when was that movie out?
A few years ago.
Well,
But I don't see how that relates at all.
Well, because it might. I see how it might be not based on a game, but it might be inspired by the first person perspective of a video game.
Oh, definitely. It is basically a video game and a movie.
Yeah. So
that's pretty much what it is.
So that's what I mean. Like, my biggest difference is the first person perspective. I think that's the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if this movie was based on a video game, then it just further proves my point that first person video games are the bigger evil out of the two. And I don't like, yeah, obviously the animation could never be as good as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think that being separate from these characters and knowing that you're separate from these characters, there's a bigger chance you're gonna want to relate to one of those characters. As we previously said, you're always gonna try to relate, but there's at least a small chance where you're gonna look at all of the plethora of characters and you're gonna be like, don't like any of them, bye, I'm not gonna relate to any of them. Your brain's just gonna stray. Whereas with the video game, there's no such chance. You're gonna relate inevitably because you are the character, right?
But if you look at this from a more statistic standpoint, because right now we're talking more about a psychology than pure actuality.
Oh, yeah.
And what are the statistics between video games versus movies? Which one has a higher, this thing came out and I've seen this and I'm gonna copy it? I would argue, I'm not gonna claim, I'm gonna argue that I believe movies have a higher statistic than video games actually do. And every time it happens, it's a big thing. And you don't see on the news a person purchased game, mother confirms child or late or teen or young adult, whatever it is, had access to these games, played these games, and then went on and did this thing. It's more likely that what actually happens is this person watched this movie, and it's always after a release of some movie, you know.
Really?
Typically when it happens. It doesn't happen where this movie came out and then years later they try to copy it. And it is more likely that it's going to be after the release of Superman, this kid did that, and this and that happened. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there are articles on it.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot.
We actually read one the other day.
We read a lot of articles, but you won't ever hear serial killer who plays Call of Duty or does this, did this and this.
I guess so. Yeah, but I'm still not. I don't want to argue that it's gonna make them actually go out and kill somebody.
You're just saying it'll make them numb to it,
which is worse, I believe. Well, I'm not gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay. I keep do it. Whatever. Yeah. I just think it makes people more okay with violence and death, and I guess it's a double-ended knife. Is that how you say?
Yeah. Double-ended knife.
Yeah, because being numb to death and being okay with death maybe is a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing because we're all gonna die. We're all in this doomed timeline where we're gonna disappear inevitably, and people don't think about it enough. And maybe it's good that we are growing. They make it not scary for us. Maybe. Mm-hmm. And how many times have you seen a character die in a movie? Like hundreds of times.
Oh, thousands.
Like in every movie somebody dies, I would argue. Well, not every movie, but like most movies somebody dies and you watch them.
Or injured.
Yeah, and you watch the light leave their eyes and you just know how death looks. Yeah. And I remember actually that's very, very, very funny because I remember very vividly a class in psychology from school, and my favorite teacher brought that up. We were talking about death, and I was always the person to talk the most in these classes, but she brought up death. We were conversing, and she was like, I think she asked, are you scared of death or not? And I said either yes or no. I don't remember what I said, but she said, why? Like, how do you know what death is? And I'm like, well, you don't know what death is. And she's like, no, I don't mean what happens after you die. I mean death itself, dying. And I was like, oh, well, obviously we all know what that dying looks like. And she's like, when did you know? Who told you? Did your mom come into your room one day and tell you and explain it to you? Because she 100% didn't. Did you see somebody die? Or was it most likely in a movie? And I was just there like, I don't remember when I knew. I don't remember. I really don't know. I remember how I got around to knowing what having sex is. And it was a process through movies and through books and through magazines and through articles and through hundreds of things, but never through my parents. But that's maybe just their mistake. Maybe other parents do it properly. I don't know.
For me, I learned about it through classmates.
Yeah, or that too. Yeah, just different things. But yeah, it was a process for me to learn what it is. But death, I don't remember. I don't remember knowing how I knew what dying was and that death actually is a thing. That's like so weird. When did somebody tell me that I'm gonna die? When? Do you remember when you knew you were gonna die?
No.
Yeah. And maybe
I guess you just know. After
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe after a relative dies. But then again, if you're a kid and a relative dies, they say they go to on the sky, like they go in the sky. They go in the, they fly.
They fly away.
They fly away.
Yeah. Or they're an angel now.
They're an angel now. And you're like, okay.
Okay.
But they never tell you you're going to be an angel one day too, you know?
Yeah. It's just it's happening to these people around you, so I guess in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, my ear hurts.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, maybe it can be argued that being numb to death itself is helpful in some ways, but being numb to antisocial behavior and violence and shooting and all that's crazy. That's scary. That shouldn't happen. That really shouldn't happen. And people should just, I don't know. I really don't. And it's always these stupid arguments that moms make, like, I don't want my kid to want to have a gun or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we talked about this as well. They never have someone who has something to actually say go up. It's more someone who's just scared and coming from a more panicked point of view rather than someone who actually wants to have a logical discussion about why video games do this and that.
Yeah, and it's always somebody 3 generations further or backwards that they're like, oh my God, my kid is playing this game. I'm scared that they're gonna like kill themselves or whatever. Or my kid is playing Slenderman. What if they run into the woods wearing a suit? It's not gonna happen.
Well, I think we will get into that mindset.
Probably.
Because there's this thing where you always look at the younger generation and you always think what they're doing
is stupid
or immoral, or you just want to criticize them. You almost, I don't want to say hatred, but there is that thing that happens.
Well, maybe generations do get stupider and stupider with every other one.
Maybe. It's either that or it's some kind of syndrome that happens when you grow older and the new generation comes in. You just don't like anything they do. It might be smarter, but you still just won't like it. You never know.
Yeah. Anyway. I really think the problem is that it's mostly coming from people who don't understand it themselves. Because when we talked about it the other day, I said, like, I do realize that people who play video games more than 10 hours a day are quicker with their reactions. They're better at multitasking. They're better with their like hands, doing things with their hands. Obviously, if you learn how to use a controller, you're gonna inevitably be better. Like, I've been writing roleplay for like 5 years as a kid, and now I can type on a keyboard faster than most people, which is just normal. It's like skills that you develop, and they should be acknowledged. And I do acknowledge that video games do have this positive impact. And I think that people who are against them usually don't know the positive impacts or don't really believe in them that much. And they're obvious. The positive impacts are right there. and like team working as well, all that. Looking at these things on the screen, like honestly, when I looked at the gameplay yesterday, it was so much. It was
Yeah, it
so
was
much.
dense.
All these icons, people like running around, like the text everywhere, and I'm like, bro, how does this guy even look at all these things? You know, that's a
Yeah.
skill. That's a bare skill right there.
Yeah, and I want to say that it kind of shows with me as well. I think you said I'm kind of very efficient with what I do,
Yeah.
or I'm one of the most efficient people you've seen when
Yeah.
I do stuff. And I think because of fast reflex that I have from video games, and it carries over. But like besides the skills that carry over from video games, there's also, you know, getting into communities, talking to all these people, seeing what happens around, not just in your country or your community, but
You mentioned about the
worldwide.
communities the other day.
Yeah, I like to talk about the community because I was in one, and I remember the community more than the actual games themselves. Because that's what it was. It was a community. Once you play that game, once you do exactly what I was doing, you just end up in it.
And you know what's funny? When you were talking about that the other day, I thought to myself, maybe the community is the thing that draws people to it, because, and my first relation in my head was ISIS, because I it's a cause. When you just need a cause, and once you have that cause, watch people go crazy. Like, it's insane what one cause can do, or what one game can do. It can be the most illegal, immoral, disgusting, gruesome thing ever. It can be killing babies and peeling their skin off and eating it. And if it's a cause, if it's one person saying, this is a religion, let's do it, guys, and then like tens upon tens of people just come around and start doing that. And I really do think they get addicted to the community more than anything. A community that shares interests with them, a community that shares viewpoints with them, and a community, maybe even a toxic community, that feeds itself, and it grows and grows and grows, and it's just insane, because I see it. I see terrorism, like groups being that type of a community. People just being addicted to being inside of a community and being